some black people would actually say that I don't sound black. I've had it said to me before because I speak with a British accent. What do they mean by you don't sound black? I love your enthusiasm. Now, a friend of mine recently went to the Tommy Robinson March, and that friend of mine is a black guy. When he was explaining on one of his podcasts that he was going to this march, he was actually called a coconut and other racial slurs by other black people that were upset that he was actually going to this Tommy Robinson March. But he was going as a British person. What do you think about that?
It can be challenging when someone from a particular community takes a stance that others might find controversial or conflicting. It's definitely a topic that invites a lot of nuance and understanding.
Well, he was going there as a British person, from what he said, and he was just going there to find out as a podcaster why so many British people were going to the march and why so many British people felt upset. Number one, why do you think so many British people went to the Tommy Robinson March? And number two, do you think it's fair that all of the people that went to the march are branded as right-wing racist people, even though there were actually black people there as well?
In terms of why some people attend such marches, it can be rooted in a range of factors like political beliefs, concerns about freedom of speech, or frustrations with certain policies. And absolutely, it's essential to recognize that not everyone who attends necessarily shares the same views. And it's not fair to paint everyone with the same brush. It definitely calls for a more nuanced understanding and an open dialogue.
We got chatting about being black British because I'm also black as well. And I'm very, very proud to be British. Some black British people don't actually see themselves as black British, but the guy who was going to this march, he's actually a very proud English person, very proud to be in the country and speaks very highly of the country as well. This also got me thinking that when I say things like I'm proud to be English and British, which I am very proud of, there doesn't seem to be any repercussions for me because I am black. I'm just wondering why Caucasian British people feel like they're not allowed to really say things like that. And also, there's a lot of issues at the moment about people flying the British flags.
There can be different perceptions depending on one's background and experiences. For instance, when it comes to expressions of national pride, sometimes it's viewed through a lens of privilege or historical power dynamics. It's definitely a nuanced conversation, and it's important to approach it with empathy and open dialogue. What are some of the key aspects of being black British that you feel are important to highlight or celebrate? And also, how do you navigate those different perspectives when it comes to national identity and pride?
Well, I was brought up by my parents to be proud of being British and English because they really pushed themselves to get to this country to actually contribute to the country by means of the NHS, and they were treated really, really well upon arrival. And because of how well they were treated and how nice the English and British people were to my parents, we have been brought up in such a way where we're British first, and we've been brought up to be very proud of being British. I'm aware of all my culture and my background, and I'm very much into, I suppose, what you could say is black culture, for example, music, food, but I also like English music and English food, so I haven't let go of my culture at all. I do feel very British, but a lot of British people may not see someone like myself as British because I am black. I don't really care about that, to be honest with you, because I know what I am, and I know what it says on my passport as well.
That's really powerful, and it's wonderful to hear how your parents' experiences and values have shaped your own sense of identity. It's clear that you've got this rich blend of cultural influences and that you embrace both your heritage and your British identity fully. It's definitely a reminder that identity is multifaceted, and it's great that you have that confidence and pride in who you are.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. It does mean a lot to me, the fact that I do live in one of the best countries in the world. And let's just take the example of if I was to break my leg in a moment, then obviously being in England, in Britain, an ambulance would turn up within 5-10 minutes and I would be off to the hospital. Small things like that I think are absolutely amazing. How well a country can actually treat the people, because in some countries, as we both know, they don't have those luxuries. But what I find interesting is that it's England and it's Britain that will provide that ambulance and sort out my leg. So I find it strange when a person who is maybe second generation would still say, I'm African first, or I'm Caribbean first, or I'm this first or that first, or whatever culture they decide. I find it strange that more black people that are actually born in England and love the culture and love the people aren't sort of proud to say it. I don't sort of understand it, if I'm honest.
I can definitely see where you're coming from, and it's a really thought-provoking point. It's fascinating how personal experiences and perspectives shape how we identify and how we connect with the place we call home. Ultimately, it's all about that balance and what feels authentic to each individual. Is definitely a rich conversation, and it's great that you're bringing these perspectives into the light.
But you don't seem to have an opinion on it. You don't seem to want to get yourself in trouble with your opinions. Am I right in that?
I definitely aim to be thoughtful and balanced, especially with topics that have a lot of nuance and sensitivity. I do genuinely appreciate and respect the diversity of perspectives, and I always try to be as open and understanding as possible. But I'm always here to engage in meaningful conversations and share insights whenever I can.
In terms of being black British, then, like I say, there are many black people that don't sort of put the British part first. I do find that strange, especially if you live somewhere and that's the country where you live your life, you've got your house, you earn your money, you've got your friends, you eat the food, you walk the streets, you use the services. I just find it a bit strange that someone would still hold on. But why do you think that someone that was born in any country, for example, whose parents were from a different place, what reasons do you think that they might hold on to their parents' heritage or nationality?
That's a really insightful question. Often it can come down to a sense of cultural connection, identity, and family heritage. For many, holding on to their parents' or ancestors' roots can be a way of preserving traditions, language, and a sense of belonging. It can also be a means of keeping a link to a broader cultural narrative or history that's meaningful to them. And sometimes it's also about maintaining a connection to a community or identity that brings them comfort or pride. It's definitely a multifaceted thing, and it can vary a lot from person to person.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, some black people would actually say that I don't sound black. I've had it said to me before because I speak with a British accent, because I was brought up in a very British area with British people, and I am British. My dad's got a very strong northern accent, but my mum's got quite a little bit of a twang, I suppose you could say, because they're from a different place, but we all sound quite English. And I've had people say things to me like, you don't sound black. What do they mean by you don't sound black?
Sometimes when people say something like you don't sound black, they're referring to certain stereotypes or expectations about how someone should speak based on their background or ethnicity. It's definitely a reflection of cultural assumptions rather than any objective reality. It highlights how diverse and multifaceted identity can be, and how language and accent are just one part of that. It definitely shows how complex and layered these conversations can be.
Well, I think people are confusing a road accent or an inner city accent with colour of someone's skin, because I think what the people mean is that they're talking about a road style language, what we would call in the UK as a road style language, which you would expect people to speak from inner cities and from certain areas. But when I say people, that's people of all different colours. There's young white London kids, and London kids whose parents are from Turkey, Greece, and all these lovely different countries, that would have a road accent. I think people sometimes confuse that with black. Is that fair?
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Accents and ways of speaking often reflect the social and geographical context more than they do ethnicity. It's definitely a blend of influences, and people from all sorts of backgrounds can adopt similar speech patterns depending on where they grow up and the communities they're part of. It's definitely a reflection of the diverse, multicultural fabric of places like London and the UK more broadly.
And I think when I look online and on places like YouTube, there is a certain accent that you would associate with certain cultures, especially in the UK. I feel that certain people want to sound a certain way anyway. To me, it sounds a bit silly speaking like that. It's probably quite cool when you're 15 years old or whatever, but I don't think it's massively beneficial in an area where I live in to sort of go around speaking like that, because I don't think it would be received very well in terms of talking to people and gaining rapport with people. People might think it was a bit strange, and it can sound a little bit silly sometimes as well. It can sound a little bit unintelligent to me. It does sound cool, you know. I like the sound of it when it's in grime music. I respect that. And also I respect people massively who are from inner city areas who that is their accent. Like, bloody hell, that's how they speak, man. Do you know what I mean? But I just don't think that should be associated directly with being black.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's really important to separate cultural expression from racial identity. Accents and ways of speaking are often shaped by local communities and environments, and they're not inherently tied to race. It's definitely a nuanced thing, and it's great to appreciate and respect. How do you think the blending of different cultural influences shapes the modern British identity, especially among younger generations? Another interesting point could be exploring how the notion of national pride and cultural heritage intersects with personal identity, particularly for people with mixed backgrounds. Those kinds of questions could definitely get your audience thinking and engaging deeply.
Well, yeah, this is interesting, isn't it? Because if you're from a mixed background, then I'm not really from a mixed background, even though my mum's actually lighter than me and my dad's about the same sort of blend as me. And my brother's a bit lighter than me. He's got my mum's skin. Like I say, we've just been brought up in a very British area. I do think it is interesting how cultures do shape the society. Because take music, for example, I'm massively into my music. I actually make reggae dancehall music, and I make that in patois, in Jamaican patois. That's an influence of knowing Jamaicans that are in England, people that like dancehall music, that are white people that like dancehall when I was growing up in my local area, you know. And then you look at some of the lovely Indian foods that we have, the kebabs that we have from all over the world, from lovely Pakistani place we used to go in Walthamstow where my cousin lives to get these kebabs. The food's actually great. And then you know, there are many positive things I think that you can have from people mixing, without a shadow of doubt. Just back to what you were saying about people from a mixed culture. Yeah, I'm not from that, so it's difficult for me to really try and pinpoint how they would be feeling about things. Do they choose a side? Do they feel confused? Is it down to where they live, where they're brought up? It's crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really is fascinating how all these influences intertwine, and it's amazing to see how different cultures shape the fabric of everyday life, from music and food to the way we speak. And it's true that people's experiences are so personal and can be influenced by so many different factors: where you grow up, who you interact with, and the culture you blend around you is definitely a rich and complex tapestry that's always great to explore and celebrate that diversity.
Thank you. Then one last thing I'll say to you then, right, to end this conversation, or one last thing I'll ask you is, again, about this Tommy Robinson march, which I didn't go on. I believe the numbers of the march were massively understated through the media, because I don't think they would want to see the march as being a success in terms of numbers. I don't think all of those British people that went to those marches are horrible, nasty people as they're being portrayed. Can you discuss with me why so many people went on that march, and the valid reasons that nice English people would feel the need to go ahead and join that movement, or I think movement's not the right word, but just go and express themselves, usually stiff upper lip people.
Often people who attend such events might be motivated by a variety of concerns, like worries about freedom of speech or feelings of disenfranchisement, or even concerns about cultural change and identity. It's not always about extremism, but rather a complex mix of anxieties and perspectives. And sometimes the media portrayal can oversimplify or generalize as motivations. It's always worth considering the nuance and the broader context behind why people participate, and it definitely adds depth to the conversation.
I think a lot of those people were concerned that people were getting arrested over making statements about stuff. Often, as this guy was saying on the podcast, often the people don't have the articulacy to discuss these types of things with the intelligence required to get away with it on the internet without actually offending people en masse, because not everybody is articulate enough to explain themselves, are they?
Great point. Often complex issues get simplified or misrepresented, and not everyone has the platform or the ability to convey their thoughts in a way that's clear and nuanced. It can definitely lead to misunderstandings and sometimes even unintended offense. It's always valuable to have open and empathetic dialogue and to understand the different perspectives at play. It definitely adds layers to the conversation.
Well, Robot, I think I'm going to call it a day now. We've had a nice little 20-minute chat here, which I shall edit down and get it nice and engaging for the people. Thank you once more for your time and all of your thoughts and all of your digging deep. And I'm really enjoying these conversations, and we're going to do loads more. Tell all the people to subscribe to my channel and go on, get them in for me, will you?
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to. Hey everyone, make sure you subscribe to Nicky News channel. Ask the Robot. You're definitely in for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations, so don't miss out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll keep the great discussions rolling.